Now President Biden is in some hot water after he called the economy, quote, strong as hell over the weekend. Tom Dempsey has the latest reaction from the White House this morning as cash-strapped voters begin heading to the polls. Hey, Tom.
When he made a campaign stop in Oregon, specifically at an ice cream shop, here's what he had to say about inflation. Take a listen.
Yes, our economy is strong as hell in the internals of it. Inflation is worldwide. It's worse off everywhere else than it is in the United States. So the problem is the lack of economic growth and sound policy in other countries.
Now, a recent News Nation and Decision Desk HQ poll really shows, the impact, the political impact of inflation across the country, with 93% of the people who responded, we're talking about people who align it with Republicans, Democrats, even some independents, 93% of the people who responded said they remain somewhat or very concerned about inflation. You can expect Republicans.
So that was the hot take this week from our fearless leader, President Joe Biden. If you're nervous at all, if you're concerned about what he just said because you don't feel like the economy is hot as a pistol, fear not, because the economic advisor for the White House is hot on the trail of inflation, and she's going to explain to us right now exactly how that inflation relief bill that was just passed, when that's going to start to kick in, when we'll start to see some results from that. Watch.
Many parts of the bill will start to take effect next year. For example, there are tax credits for energy to help people weatherize their homes and also bring down other forms of energy costs. So we are focused on helping to make that transition to clean energy in a way that brings down energy costs for families.
Wow. I mean, that's not just a disconnect. Those talking points are from fantasy world.
Now, of course, in no way do I defend people that lie, but I did notice that Cecilia Rouse is not the only liar. Seems like that word lie, lied, and liar are coming up in a lot of YouTube videos lately. I don't know if that's just coincidence, but we'll talk about a couple of them after we come back from the intro. We'll touch on AMC and the market real quick, and then I'll let you guys go. But before we do any of that and get way too far ahead of ourselves,
chew the speeder.
This is the way.
Maybe it's just me, but it seems like we keep hearing over and over again from our government that we, the U.S., and the U.S. economy, are in the best position right now to mitigate some of the damages that have been caused by this historic inflation we have seen flame up across the globe. And I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but in the intro, I pulled some clips, some B-roll from across Europe, some of the capital cities where people came out in the droves. I mean, tens of thousands of people took to the streets to protest over the weekend what their governments are doing, how they're crashing their economies, because of this idea that we need to fix the planet and go to zero emissions in the next 5 to 10 years. And it seems to me that they are willing to sacrifice anything and everything in order to get this agenda across. Literally come hell or high water. And how the American people just got taken for a ride on another bill that was misrepresented, and we were told it was something that it was not. It was clearly not an Inflation Reduction Act. Because now that it's through, the news media is finally coming out and asking the questions they should have asked before it got passed. But now that conversation between Dana Bash and the economic advisor Cecilia Rouse there went on for a lot longer, but because I don't want to get a copyright infringement from CNN, I'm just going to read you one of the other questions and answers from that interview. Asked by Bash about the high prices of food Americans are paying, Rouse pointed to the Inflation Reduction Act's ability to lessen costs for Americans for prescription medicine, though she acknowledged it does nothing for food prices. But pushed on when it would start lowering inflation Rouse said many parts of the bill will start to take effect next year. It's a green transition to clean energy, not an Inflation Reduction Act, as long as we're clear on that. And here's what's getting sacrificed right now. Later in the piece, Harris brought it up. Watch.
In a new piece for the New York Post, former Trump economic advisor Steve Moore says the average 401k plan, the nest egg most of us have at our employers, has lost $34,000 since the start of last year. Altogether, that adds up to $2.1 trillion in losses.
So when we say they're willing to risk anything and everything, that includes everyone's retirement. People that are counting on being able to retire in the next 3 to 4 years are probably going to have to wait now because of how much they are down. And it's a disgrace that they continue to push this agenda. Knowing what it's doing to the Europeans, we see them out in the streets. Mainstream media is not reporting on it. NBC, ABC, CBS, but they're out there. You can go and find the clips. The people have taken to the streets, and I don't know how far behind America is. I don't know if we're in a better position than most other countries to help try to mitigate some of the damage caused by the Federal Reserve and what they've done and the supply chain backup from their ridiculous COVID policies, which we'll get to in a second. But I don't think we're that far off from where the Europeans are. I think we are very close to seeing people taking the streets in this country, and I hope we do soon. All right, let's move on to the next set of liars.
Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick, and that it's not just in the clinical trials, but it's also in real-world data.
Now, I'm pretty sure she's 1,000% lying there. Now, I can't be sure, but I'm going to tell you, I'll show you why I think she's lying. The CDC director. And so now let's go. So now we had the president of the United States. We had the head of the CDC. Now let's get the #1 news show host on television to tell you that same lie. Let's watch.
We know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus. The virus does not infect them. The virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else.
Hey, I'm done.
Now, I know the vaccinations and the pandemic are not a huge topic here on this channel, but let's not forget how we got into this position in the first place. With a federal government that was overreaching and overstepping their bounds on a pandemic that they knew nothing about, on a vaccine that was leaky at best, and got us into this position where we are trying to play catch up because we closed down the economy based on some false narratives. And if you think I'm exaggerating when I say false narratives, just take a quick look at this clip from later in Jimmy's same piece. He has this parliamentary member here from the EU who goes on and he has an interaction last week with a Pfizer rep. I believe her name was Diane Little. Or Janine Smalls. Diane Little. Janine Smalls is her name. Here's the interaction. Jeez. Here's the interaction, Jimmy. Take it away.
In a COVID hearing in the European Parliament, one of the Pfizer directors just admitted to me, at the time of introduction, the vaccine had never been tested on stopping the transmission of the virus.
We know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person.
This removes the entire legal basis for the COVID passport. The COVID passport that led to massive institutional discrimination. People lost access to essential parts of society. I find this to be shocking, even criminal. Please watch the video until the end.
Voor u, mevrouw Small, heb ik de volgende vraag waar ik een duidelijk antwoord op wil. And I will speak in English so there are no misunderstandings.
Oh, thank God.
Was the Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping immunization before it's entered the market? No.
She acts like you're the idiot for asking her this question. And who does that? The people who do that, she's a criminal liar. You don't think they're criminals at Pfizer, at Moderna, at Johnson & Johnson? The people who got half the country hooked on fucking heroin and the other half, they put asbestos in your baby powder? These are the people you're trusting. That's what the face of a fucking criminal liar looks like. That's what they look like. These are the people who are the biggest criminals in the world. That's what they look like.
Liz Cheney's what they look like?
That's right.
We had to really move at the speed of science.
We had to move at the speed of science. How do you measure?
I don't know. Is that enough horseshit for you guys for the night or what? And the cherry on top comes the next day after that interaction when the Associated Press puts out this article saying posts mislead on Pfizer vaccine's impact on transmission. And what's their assessment? She was taken out of context. I don't know. I saw enough context in there to laugh me a lifetime. All right, let's move on to the last subject matter. I want to talk about AMC before I get you guys out of here. And this isn't going to be a technical analysis report or anything like that. It's kind of just going to be me talking about my situation. And, I have to admit that I'm probably going to have some bias going forward when it comes to AMC because I have a heavy position in the stock. And I need everyone to make sure they take that in consideration. When I give my opinions, it's probably going to have a slight bias towards an optimistic outlook. But I just want to make sure everyone knows that when we're talking, whether it's on a live stream or we're talking through a video or comments, understand that bias is going to come with being a shareholder of the company. It's really hard to shake that. So as far as the arguments of the shorts and going long, you guys know the position that I took on AMC, and I still think they have a ways to go, but I don't think we're that far off. So I'm just trying to be patient. I'm trying to hang in there with the rest of you guys as much as possible and wait this thing out until we can hopefully beat them. And I know a lot of shenanigans have gone on. You've seen a lot happen in the last 18 months, as have I. We've learned a lot. We have uncovered a lot, but we still got some ways to go. I'm going to finish this fight, and I hope you guys are going to stick with me and do it too. As always, guys, thank you for all the likes, the views, the comments, my new subscribers, my OGs. I appreciate each and every one of you. We're here to break the wheel. This is Ape Nation. I'm the Massalorian, and I'm out.